Endorsing the Lion's voice. Big up Ras Cashawn. See it?
Big up Ras Cashawn.
It is time for the Lion to tell our own story. Yes, sir.
There is a land far, far away. There's no night. There's only day. Look into the book of life. And you will see that there's a land far, far away. Ras Cashawn, that there's a land far, far away. Lion, the sweet lion, roar lion, roar every time.
I will never stop, hail the Most High. And I will never stop, call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Cushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, ya. Them fully guard up and them quick fi execute, ya. Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, ya. The one will laugh, I'm same one of the shooter. Watching them, this is Ras Cashawn representing for the Lion Voice Network. This is the time when the lion gets to tell our own story. Haile Selassie.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it's Exodus. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
Yes, job people, this is Binghi Shawn representing for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs we sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the life. Lion Voice. Them could never conquer the mountains. Thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again unto the world. Now we are announcing. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease. How we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the beast. Rastafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. Well, for unto us a son was born and a child was given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. And his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Them call him Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Rastafari. The lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Rastafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England or Cote d'Ivoire, no matter if you're brown or black like Qatar. Haile Selassie say fi end all tribal war. A time fi gather Mount Zion, fi drive solar car from the car straight to Zanzibar. Who we are, the sons of Mr. Farai. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Mr. Farai, when he was grown in airplanes he fly. Mr. Farai, the lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Mr. Farai, we do everything.
iRoots Records, an online shop for reggae and dub vinyl, CDs and Rastafari books. Rastafari owned and operated for over 15 years. We ship worldwide. We have many titles from frontline publications in stock. We have 50 plus Akabeka Midnight titles, which we believe is the most of any shop in the world. Special invite for the Lion. Use code Lion's Voice and save 10% store-wide. If you spend $125 or more, the discount goes up to 15%. Visit us online at www.irootsrecords.com. The time has come.
Orlando, Central Florida, are you ready? The African Culture School Incorporated and Heights of Life Music proudly presents the 4th annual Marcus Garvey Music Fest, Saturday, August 15th at Ras State in Claremont, Florida, featuring Lutan Fire, backed by Rhythm Rebel Band. Also performing live, Andy Heights, Ainike, Esau, One Journey, Javerse, Royal Chanter, Asafa Widimaya, and many more incredible artists. Vibes provided by Unity Sound, Rastek, Royal Ethiopian Sound, Jawise, and Blackfoot Movements. Hosted by Davani, but it's more than just music. Enjoy Community Entrepreneur Awards, Organic Seed Exchange, live art installation and auction, back to school giveaways, free health screenings. Come celebrate the legacy and vision of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Saturday, August 15th, sponsored by Branding 101, One Trust Home Loans, and Cypress Cove Marina and Resort.
In the haunting echoes of violence against women in St. Anne, Jamaica, a mysterious vigilante emerges. For the Woman Painted Purple unfolds a gripping narrative of empowerment, retribution, and the pursuit of justice. Brenda and her group sisters bond together in therapy over their common struggles, but soon their group becomes the subject of an investigation. As the vigilante's actions escalate, the relentless detective, Officer Woodley, races to unmask the mystifying figure. For the Woman Painted Purple is a pulse-pounding tale that explores the boundaries of justice, revenge, and the fighting spirit. This thrilling saga delves into the complexities of dealing with mental health, domestic abuse, and finding love after. Own your copy today. Visit www.devanigreen.com.
This is The Black Heart Man, Rastafari children's picture book with hand-painted illustrations and rhythmic storytelling. This is a journey you do not want to miss. We offer worldwide shipping, so order your copy today at www.degreaspaintbrush.com. Alternatively, you can order your copy from TikTok. If you are interested in stocking the book, please email us at degreaspaintbrush@gmail.com. Give thanks.
Jamaica to Toronto. The Rastafest movement rises again. This August 15 and 16, Rastafest 2026 returns to Little Jamaica in Toronto with reggae music, Rastafari culture, Ital food, arts, reasoning, and unity. But this year, it's more than a festival. Rastafest is partnering with the Rastafari Mansions and organizations to support the Relief, Rebuild, Rise initiative, helping Rastafari families and communities rebuild, resist the risk of disasters, and to rise to their true potential. This is culture with a cause. Full joy the music, support the mission. Donate to the Relief, Rebuild, Rise GoFundMe through the link in the RMO Jamaica Instagram profile. Rastafari.
Save the date, Join us on Sunday, August 9th, 2026 at 5 p.m. for the 25th annual fundraiser for the Shashamani Foundation at the Silver Spring Civic Center, Great Buffalo Hall in Silver Spring, Maryland. Come be a part of an evening that helps transform lives by supporting quality education and sustainable development at the JRDC School in Shashamani, Ethiopia. Your presence and generosity help empower children, strengthen communities, and build a brighter future. Can't attend? You can still make a difference by donating at shashamani.org or by scanning the event QR code. Mark your calendar, bring your family and friends, and let's build a lasting legacy together. We'll see you there. Rastafari TV and Site Media are proud sponsors of the Shashamani Foundation.
Greetings in that divine name of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Glory and honor in the name of His chosen Queen, Empress Waziri Menen. My name is Kwasi Bansu, aka the Chasmarch Kwasi, aka Ras Kwasi, aka the Reading Ras, aka the Pan-African Happy Man, creative industry attorney. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an actionist, and right now I am the host of Lion Voice Live. Welcome to Lion Voice Live, and welcome to the Lion Voice Network, where the lions are telling our own story, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren and sistren to dwell together in perfect love and unity. It's like a precious ointment upon I head that runneth down I beard, even Aaron's beard down to the skirts of his garments. It's like the dew of Hermon, the dew that I sent it upon the isle of the mountains of Zion. There the true and living I commanded his richest blessing, even life and love for Ivan Ivar, Sela. Yes, family, royal sabbatical blessings. Is a joy to rise up with the item this gloriful day that we are here to celebrate together as a global Rastafari family. We made it through another strong, and today for many is a day of rest. Summer, I still put in little work because we donkey in the well, you know what I mean, and we have to pull him out. We're behind enemy lines, we're down in the arm of Gideon, so you know what I mean, no rest for the weary. But whatever your tradition is, I salute the item in regard to this journey, because we are on a journey. As we speak, the world is erupting. We said it here a long time ago that the Third World War had erupted. You can go. That's why I love this modern age. We have all the receipts, and we told the item that invasion of Iran was coming. All of them things that we have the receipts long before these things happen. Through far eye, I was able to know the time that we are in prophetically and to plan accordingly. Right now, the Straits of Hormuz closed. We did a video on the Straits of Hormuz long before it became mainstream. Now everybody on the planet know what the Straits of Hormuz is. We talked about, the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem, the Elas Mosque. We've been talking about that. That's still to come. We have now a possible invasion of Mecca and Medina on the table. Saudi Arabia pulled into the war, joining the war. Kuwait, all of the whole region, Egypt get bombed. Serious time we're living in right now, family. And we are, as Rastafari,
coming together over land and sea. We have the evidence, over 1,000 pieces of content on this channel that challenges anyone who says Rastafari is not rising and shining. Do we have to increase the pace? I would say yes, but at the same time, who am I? I'm just a servant, a humble servant, doing the work, showing up, trying to be consistent or being consistent with the work that we have been assigned. And, you know what I mean, it is what it is. We are approaching 80,000 strong on the Lion Pride. Big up on myself, you know what I mean, the greatest audience on the planet Earth, the greatest comment section. I see some of the items coming in early. You know what I mean, it's really a joy to see my family, how we're rallying, how we are creating community in real life over land and sea. My brother from Zambia, Ras Cashawn Myers. If I had never been obedient to the king call to rise Rastafari independent non-aligned media, I wouldn't know Ras Cashawn Myers from Zambia. You know what I mean? Right now, I and I are brethren. If me go Zambia, me know say, you know what I mean, we can link Ras Cashawn Myers and I just joy, you know what I mean? So these are the things. EWF, World Federation, Harlem, New York, and we have to do a post-convention video. We're going to definitely do that. There's a new international president for the Ethiopian World Federation, so we'll definitely try to get that brethren on the show shortly. You know, but the important thing is that I and I waking up, I and I rallying, and we do give thanks. Look at my sister out of Trinidad, Medina, Simple Island Life, Grand Rising, good people, happy Sabbath greeting. You know, if I'm not obedient to rise up Rastafari independent, non-aligned media in this time, I wouldn't know Medina, Simple Island Life. Who would, you know what I mean? So I say all of that to say whatever the item purpose is right now, rise and shine. It might not make sense. Right now, this doesn't make financial sense for I, but we're looking at it long term. You know what I mean? So if the item also can support the vision, we do give thanks, but that doesn't mean that we're going to stop, you know, even if the support is long in coming, because we understand the importance. I was just reasoning with a sister, and she shared with I that, you know, now, she shared with I that now that, you know, Lion Voice has been going for some time, she said this is like a necessary food for the global family, like ones have become used to, you know, the food. She was commenting on the Jerry Small episode, which right now is a classic. If you have not seen our last episode with Jerry Small, where he's addressing the origins of Rastafari and also the future of Rastafari, it's a classic. And you know, the detail that he goes into the 1919 trad, the emissary sent by Rastafari to the United States to sit in the UNIA meeting, and you know what I mean, and bring it down to a human level from the history. And this is things that he's being told by Amy Jacques Garvey. And you know, so we get in the elder, the true African tradition, you know what I mean? That is what we have built here, where we can, as a global family, sit around an elder foot and just hear the griot, the master, you know, storyteller, weave a narrative. What a joy. So if you haven't seen the Bongo Jerry episode, make sure that the item check out the Bongo Jerry episode. Also, our episode with Ras Floyd Jarvis, which is another instant classic, where he pulls out all the books that speak to the American origin of the Rastafari movement. You know, Black Americans start in the West. You know, we have to make that clear, because we all agree Ethiopia is the origin of Rastafari. We're not arguing that, because from he was a baby, you know, ones didn't know who he was, and he had loyal servants straight through the journey that would have given their life for Rastafari above all things, you know what I mean? So the movement starts in Ethiopia, but in the West,
with this new information, which Bongo Jerry said is not so new, we are now beginning to accept that Black Americans were the first in the West to hear of the work and to embrace the man, you know. And he also clarified for us, Bongo Jerry, that Hibbert and Dunkley, who were also preaching in Jamaica, who were also seamen or who had traveled abroad and got the message, brought it forward to Jamaica, were also, that was 1930. So for my Jamaica family, you know, we've always asserted that Jamaica was the first in the West to hail the king. It's no longer that reality, but as Bongo Jerry said so eloquently, this is not a point for contention or fight, because Jamaica was the fertile ground that picked up the seed and made it spread to the four corners of the earth, even reestablishing it in America, because as Bongo Jerry and Floyd Jarvis said, you know, the intelligence agencies is like they stamp out Rastafarites in America. There was no trace, you know what I mean? Or a very underground trace that I and I can't follow that trail. But the sound now come reverberating from the fertile soil, that little patch of island, take it on and spread it to the four corners of creation. So everyone have a role to play. And right now, we need our Black American brethren, our African American brethren and sistren to embrace the faith, because we know right now Black American hip-hop culture is the #1 culture on the planet. And it's impacting Africa, it's impacting the Caribbean. If you look at what the youth them are dealing with, they are enamored with the American culture, and that's because of the resources that are put behind American music, you know. So the youth them are enamored by, you know, in Jamaica, you have a thing called trap dancehall, which is emulating what's happening in Jamaica, American hip-hop music. When you look at how the Afrobeat artists dress, all of them, you know, in Africa, you're seeing Black American influence. So what we need now, family, is Black Americans forget the knowledge of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. And my guest today, this morning, one of my closest brethren on the planet Earth, is like family to I and I. We've been chatting together close to 30 years consistently on the battlefield, you know what I mean? We've been in some real life situations where some of them we can't talk them publicly, you know, involving law enforcement, all kind of thing, you know what I mean? Where we have to stand up with the king, and we see the power of Kadamawi Haile Selassie I. And you know what I mean? I and this brethren have so much history. So we're gonna reason with him this morning. I'm talking about Ras Cashawn Myers, aka Binghi Shawn, one of the bona fide brethren, the founder and executive director for the HABESHA Inc. And I them know that HABESHA Inc. and you know, is one of the premier Pan-African institution, which gets us to today. Today is August 1st. So for the platform, we are now out of Tafari month, and we are now celebrating Pan-African History Month. So for all of the item to know, we are celebrating Pan-African History Month, August 1st. We are going to be uploading. We have exclusive interview with Dr. Umar Johnson. We're going to upload that for our Patreon family today. I'm still editing it, so it's going to take me some time to get it ready for the public consumption. That's going to go to the public on August 17th on Marcus Garvey Earth Day. We are also arranging for some major interviews with, you know, some of the leadership of the UNIA that's coming Pan-African History Month. We're also reaching out to some of the top Pan-African minds. So nothing's confirmed yet, but this month is going to be all about Pan-African history. So we'll see a lot more non-Rastafari Pan-Africanists on the platform this month. And we chose this month as Pan-African History Month because of the Earth Strong of Menelik II, Earth Strong of Empress Taitu, Earth Strong of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, and many more great Pan-Africanists born in the month of August. So we say, let's just do Pan-African History Month. I'm going to have my brethren from Ethiopia. We have a historian. So the whole month is going to be Isla, but I said the best way to kick off Pan-African History Month would be with I and I brethren, Binghi Shawn. As I say, one of the premier Pan-Africanists on the planet right now. And that is objective, you know what I mean? We can say that objectively. Based on the work that's been done. As the item know, HABESHA, which I'm also a board member of, is not a Rastafari organization. It's a Pan-African organization. That's in our mission statement. We've been asked so many times to take out that Pan-African in order to make it more attractive to grants. From 2002, HABESHA has had that there. So never wavering. And in this time now when people are taking on to Pan-Africanism or the Pan-African life, because we try to stay away from the ism section of the whole reasoning, you know what I mean, we have been predominant. So the work that Binghi Shawn is doing is Pan-African work, that HABESHA is doing is Pan-African work. The team on HABESHA team is not an all Rastafari team. We have all the ones them there. I see the I family, I would assume, bring the eye forward. Binghi Shawn is here. He's ready to go. He's ready to go, family. So we're gonna bring forward the brethren, but the whole fullness is that this month, Pan-African History Month, we're asking that the item participate, spread the word, sound, and let us really work to uplift Rastafari independent, non-aligned media. We're going to have Bongo Jerry come forward. We're going to try to have Bongo Jerry at least once a month. And this month, I want him to speak about Jamaica independence and the importance of Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle, you know what I mean, that history and the connection with these Pan-African patriots, you know what I mean, and their history. I'm gonna see if we can arrange that. So today we're reasoning with Binghi Shawn about he has done what His Majesty did, which is take some time, reflect, and write his own story. The brethren wrote autobiography, and then he also did a documentary film documenting, he just celebrated his 50th year on creation. And I think as a responsible frontline soldier, he documented his journey so far. And this is an important part of our work because we have to leave something for the generations to come that they can full up, you know what I mean? So he is actually forward here in America right now. Typically it would be in Ghana, this would be in Ghana. And he is doing an East Coast tour. So I want the item to welcome the brethren. Let's give the brethren a warm welcome. And we're going to find out about the journey. We're going to get an update on Kazi. I'm going to show some footage of Kazi for those who are not familiar and find out what's happening. So welcome the HABESHA Executive Director, Binghi Shawn. Royal blessing.
Rastafari, blessing love, highly high, Selassie I first. Can you hear I good?
Yes, I.
So yeah, I'm multitasking. I'm taking my daughter to the airport, but I say, man, I was so excited. I couldn't wait till I get to the airport. I say, man, I want to call into the Lions Voice now, man. I can't wait. So I can hail up my brethren, the Judgment Posse, and, you know, the Lion Voice family, the Lion Pride family, man. Big up the eye, the Judgment for being full assistant for several years now to make sure that the Lion Voice is what it is, and being on time, on point, diligent, vigilant to make sure that I voice gets heard, I stories get told. So I just want to big the eye up because I've been there since the beginning, since the eye it was in the womb, so to speak.
Yes.
And the eye brought it forth, and the eye said it was going to grow to be one powerful voice, and it's still growing and still growing. So big up the eye, big up Mama Serene, because I know she do a lot of the behind the scenes work and don't get the credit, but we want to make sure we honor her because we know she's put in the work to do, from the flyers to the video editing to the promotions to everything. We know that she's always been by the eye side, just like Empress Menen was by His Majesty's side. So just big up the eye, man, and big up the Lion Pride. You know, it's an honor for I to be here. 30 years I've been knowing the eye, you know what I mean, and enough respect to the eye, you know what I mean, just as a family man, as a leading Rastafari figure, as a attorney for I people, as an artist, as an activist, as a singer, a vocalist. We give thanks to the eye for all of these titles, and as a son of the king. So, you know, just bless up to the eye.
Yes, royal blessings to the I. Give thanks humbly, and royal blessings to the I family as well, and the royal Princess Isla. You know, we pray for her safe journey, and you know, I really just give thanks for the I example as a brethren who also has been very consistent. You know what I mean? In the work, and that's really what I want to reason with the eye about this morning is well, there's a lot, there's so many places that we can go, because when I'm future casting, this is the brethren that I future cast with when we are having our reasonings. We're reasoning about 50 years down the line what we want to see. You know, I mean, cause is something that we were reasoning about as university students, you know what I mean? So even, you know, that's just how we've always been as brethren. But I think that we're in a very serious time, you know, where we watched World War III, we chanted, you know, every Naya Binghi we know seals with Armageddon chant,
right.
You know what I mean? So as a member of the Naya Binghi, and this is where I met this brethren, is at the Naya Binghi house in Washington, D.C. I didn't meet him on campus. I met the brethren at the Naya Binghi house. I just want to establish that, you know, without Rastafari, Naya Binghi, I don't know the brethren, you know what I mean? So Naya Binghi house puts that, implants that consciousness of Armageddon in every Naya Binghi man, you know what I mean? That is what we chant. We seal up the ISIS, you know, the fall of Babylon. This is like the prophecy. We now grow. We saw 9/11, you know what I mean? Especially in here in DC, we could see the smoke rising from the building, the whole judgment, you know what I mean? But, you know, how does the eye see right now? Because the eye, you know, and we always, as young brethren, made the chant about the welcoming committee, you know, because we knew there was a time when black people would be running out of Babylon because the thing gets so dreadful, you know, and we said, boy, we wanted to be ahead of that wave, settled, and be a part of the ones them that are welcoming the ones and helping the ones get resettled. The brethren has lived that mantra. I'm a little bit, you know, I have my land and, you know, we working, but the brethren has gone before I. You know what I mean? How does the eye seeing right now, because you're going back and forth, just to open up the reasoning, how the eye seeing right now and where we need to be as Rastafari?
Yeah, well, like I say, I from the early days, we saw this coming. We didn't know that the full picture, But the Majesty gave I the wise mind, the knowledge, and the understanding, and the vision to prepare I selves, right? His Majesty prepared a way for and I had to prepare ourselves, you know, mentally, physically, and iridically for the return home. And as I know, I would always say that we want to be a part of the welcoming committee because there will be a time when our people will flee, will have to flee, you know. It won't be a volunteer, it won't be on your own time, it'll be by force. And so I see on one hand that it is a force to make I return home. On the other hand, though, honestly, I think it's the best of times for I. Because when I really check it, all of the prophecies that Rastafari prophesies, all of the ways that Rastafari live is coming to fruition right now, Aya. Because I was the first collectively to really champion Aital live. Eating off the land, eating our fruits, eating, you know, plant-based, if you want to call it that now. You know, being at one with nature. You know, communing with nature, farming, being environmentalist. I was the first collectively to really champion that. And now we see the whole world has turned to that. And I know that Rastafari has been at the forefront of repatriation. Mama Africa, uplifting Africa, calling ourselves Africans, saying that we have to return home. And so I see this in some ways as the worst of times for some and the best of times for I. You know, so even as we see how dreadful it is in the West, how dreadful it is in America, how dreadful it is in the so-called Middle East, I really see that Africa right now is going through a reset, and honestly, as a continent, is the safest place on earth right now, because there's propaganda that try to tell us that, you know, it's this going on in Africa, that going on. We've seen that from time and time, but the difference now is with the advent of the social media, with the advent of networks like the Lion Voice, we can tell our own stories. And that narrative that they told us that Africa is just about war, dying, poverty, we see that that's not true. And not to say that there isn't war, there isn't poverty, there isn't dying, but it's not on the scale that they try to portray. As a matter of fact, we know there's been a push by the AU, even on a simple level, to really readjust the map of the globe, because on many of the maps, they have Africa as the smallest continent, which in truth, Africa is the largest continent. You can fit many of the other continents inside of Africa. But they want to minimize Africa's significance, both on a physical level as far as size, but on a contribution to humanity level. So for I see the world war. I see what's happening in Iran. I see what's happening all over the quote-unquote Middle East, what's in Asia. I also, on the ground, see what's happening in Ghana, see what's happening in West Africa and other parts of the continent where Africa is coming together. Africa is rising. The leaders of Africa, many of them are awakening and saying it's time for us to be we're the ones that have to make sure that we chart the course of our future and we determine our own destiny. So they're now saying, look, we have all these resources in Africa. Why should every other country but the African continent, every other continent, benefit from the resources of Mama Africa? And so I feel good. I feel positive. I feel encouraged when I see the young people in Ghana awakening. They're saying that it's time, it's our time. When I see the young people in Nigeria, in Ethiopia, in Zimbabwe, saying it's our time, it's Africa's time, and we know that His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie showed us that Africa's Armageddon has passed, and that the tide that sweeps in Africa cannot be stayed. So even in the midst, we don't deny the doom and gloom. We don't deny that. So we're not naive. At the same time, I is charting I own course. We're creating the future that we want to see. Because His Majesty say we have to be what? We have to be greater in outlook, more courageous in spirit. We have to be bigger than we've ever been. Something that our education has ill prepared us for. So I have taken those words of the King, and we really have taken them to heart. And now we see the opportunities to continue to build, to continue to unite Mama Africa, continue to heal from the negative effects of the transatlantic and Arab human trafficking and colonialism. And I is a living testament, Aya, of the power of the King of Kings, the power of African unity, the power of uplifting our ancestors, the power of loving ourselves. And I see the future of Africa and African people as nothing but bright, Aya. So we truly, truly give thanks, Aya, to be in the land of the living and to be living in these times, as I would call it, the roaring 20s. You know, everywhere I go now, I tell everybody, I say, my brethren Kwasi always say, we in the roaring 20s. And I tell them, look back 100 years ago in the 1920s, what was happening in Harlem and places like that.
Yeah.
It was a renaissance. Is in the Pan-African Renaissance right now, and I must say without apology that Rastafari is at the forefront of the Pan-African Renaissance, and we want to continue on that course, you know?
Yes, give thanks. So, you know, one of the things I'm saying to myself is, although Rastafari is at the forefront, the eye is in Ghana, and I tell people, like, Accra right now is like Harlem, you know, in the sense that when you go to Accra, you're going to hear British accent, you're going to hear American accent, you're going to hear the African indigenous, you're going to hear Caribbean, all different islands, you know what I mean? And people just from all over are converging. It's happening all over the continent, don't get me wrong, you know what I mean? It's not being televised everywhere, but it's happening all over. But Accra is like a concentration. However, that being said, we're not seeing Rastafari organized. Rastafari is a pioneer, you know, in that enough of the Rastafari brethren who came into Accra or into Ghana have been there, you know, for decades. So in that sense, we're in the lead. But in terms of an organized presence of Rastafari from the West, we're not seeing that that vibration, you know what I mean? And we're seeing really at the forefront, we're seeing African Americans at the forefront. There's an African American Association of Ghana. There's also a Caribbean Association of Ghana. But I as Rastafari, you know, we don't have a welcoming center in Accra, you know? How do I see that I should be organized as Rastafari, playing that role as, you know, that leading voice? How do I see that I should be organized if money is not an issue and the resources are there? How do I see that looking?
Yeah, well, I do want to give thanks to the Rastafari Council of Ghana and the Ethiopian World Federation local that's in Ghana that have, you know, I know, and even big up Sister Cheryl, who is the international president of EWF. You know, when I had delegations that came in last October, the Ethiopian World Federation was there to support. The Rastafari Council of Ghana was there. The Rastafari Council is ongoing advocate for Rastafari throughout Ghana. And then, you know, the global Rastafari community as well. So I agree that I as Rastafari need to play a larger role, because, as the I say, whether it's formal or informal, Rastafari is the heartbeat of Mama Africa. From the music to the love of Africa, we're present. The respect that Rastafari gets from just the average people. I tell the I, when I'm in Ghana, I'm walking up the street or I'm traveling. It could be a man in a suit, it could be a police officer, it could be a soldier. They're going to hail me up. They're going to show me love. And so I think I is at a critical stage where we can now encapsulate that love that I have into action, right?
Yes.
We have the influence of the people, because we see that, you know, they look to I, they look into Rastafari because they see we've been the champion for Africa for decades. It's now time for I to now bring our organizing together, our petty differences come together so that we can create a vision through the powers of His Majesty, through what's already been set by His Majesty, of how I can chart the way forward. Because the reality is, Rastafari has a critical role in the upliftment and redemption of Africa, right? And His Majesty has already set that and given us that mandate. So we just want to continue to see the organizations that are there continue to push forward. There are also other organizations that are more local and regional that we see opportunities for growth. We see opportunities for unity. So I is just, you know, even for I'm in Ghana to be a bridge. Before I moved to Ghana, I was in Atlanta. And our goal was always to be that bridge, A, among Rastafari sons and daughters, and B, among the larger Pan-African community, because, you know, as the I said, that Kazi is not a Rastafari institute. However, the principles of Kazi align with Rastafari and are guided by the words and actions of His Imperial Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. So we don't see them as being in dichotomy at all. We see that Pan-African liberty, Pan-African thought is fully aligned with the ideals of Rastafari. And so we want to continue to push that unity among I. And I think that as Rastafari, another critical thing that we can do is continue to be that bridge within the Pan-African community, right? That we can continue to say, you know, how can we reach out to our Pan-African brothers and sisters from the Americas, from the Caribbean, from Europe? How can we be that bridge? Because at the end of the day, every continent you step foot on, and I'm sure even Antarctica, Rastafari is thereabout, right? And so I have that opportunity. We have that common denominator that we can now say, yes, it's our time. It's our time as African people. It's our time as Rastafari people to make sure that we unify, because as the rest of the world continues to fight, I can come together in love and unity. And so that is I goal, that is I mission, and that's the mandate that His Majesty has given to I. So as Rastafari, as the I know, as many are called and few are chosen. It doesn't take a whole heap. It just takes the committed eyeballs to do the work of the King, right? And so I is fully committed. We've given our life to His Majesty and the works of the King and to our people. And so we just see that as Rastafari, let's stay focused on our mission. Stay focused on what His Majesty has set for I. Stay focused on the work that Majesty has done. That will continue to guide us. Let's move within that exemplar of the King. Let's hold up those moral high standards that His Majesty has set for I, so that we can move forward and we can take our rightful place as leaders in this Pan-African redemption. So, you know, we just going to continue to move forward and push from there, you know?
Give thanks. I love how the I reframed that question, because and the I gave the answer I wanted, which is that the everything that we need already exists, you know.
Truly.
The Rastafari Council of Ghana is there. It need more strength, which the Rastafari Council of Ghana has done an MOU with CRO, so that connection is being made. And you have the EWF, which is there, which needs strengthening as well. But it's there, you know, to receive and to be that bridge between the Black peoples of the world. So this is why the global family has to wake up, because we have a lot of I who are not feeding the ecosystem. You know what I mean? That we're just living our individual lives. And yes, we have a Rastafari live as an individual, but to tap in and to harness the divine power, we got to tap into a larger ecosystem and to direct resources within that ecosystem. So when the IDMCI reason, you know, about not reinventing the wheel and that we have everything that we need, we just want to identify. This is what I'm talking about, what the brethren has blocked. I want the we have some video of Kazi I'm going to show later when the I park and you can look at the screen. But I want, because this is we catch the I in a reflective time in the I trad, you know. The I just turned 50 years old. The I have adult children. I had the pleasure of seeing Kafense, just recently as a 6'6" giant, you know, someone who I've known since he was a baby bump, you know what I mean? So I have grown children now. There is a grandfather, you know what I mean? In real life,
That's right.
there is a grandfather. You know, as I hit this milestone of 50 years, what you know is most present on the Iris? You know, you wrote this book. We're gonna get to the book and to the film, but you know, just where is the I right now at 50?
You know, really, since you know, I turned 50 in December, and since turning 50 and even before 50, I've been in a reflective state. Really, truly giving thanks for the ones that have poured into because I can really say, that through time and time, the love that has been given to I didn't make it to this point by myself, you know? It's only through the strength of the elders, those in my community. I can truly say that it was a village that raised I. Hold on just a second. I'm trying to, okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's been a village. It's been a village that's raised I, King, and I just been in a state of gratitude, to be honest, for how ones have poured into I, because my mother had me when she was 15, a teenage mother, and we know that being a teenage mother, especially 50 years ago, wasn't easy. But I'm fortunate that I had the support of my grandparents, other elders, my cousins, that helped to raise I. And even another thing that's important to I, when I started to really see the light of Rastafari in my early 20s, and I gave up flesh. I went from eating everything, as they say, from the rooter to the tutor. I used to eat everything, every kind of flesh. When I gave that up, my family never ostracized me. When I started growing my locks, my family never ostracized me. I was fortunate enough. I hear some of the stories that some of my brethren and sisters within Rastafari had to go through, being ostracized from their own families. I was fortunate, that I never had that. Not to say that my families overstood everything and they agreed with it all. They never disowned me. They embraced me. And through Rastafari liberty, over time, not only did they embrace me just because they loved me as their son, grandson, nephew, etc., they started to see the change for the better in me growing my locks, in me eating this Ital food, in me hailing up the King of Kings. And so much so that they started to inquire about what I was doing. And many of them, from that time until now, have taken on some of those practices without me having to, you know, proselytize to them and tell them to do this. They've observed me over the past 30 years. They've observed the man I've become. And they had to attribute it to what? Me trotting Rastafari. And so I've been really in a reflective state, Aya, and just truly giving thanks to have 6 beautiful children, to have a beautiful wife, to be living in Mama Africa, to be living in purpose. And, you know, fortunately for now, many of my family members have come to Ghana. My mother has gotten citizenship. My sister has built a house there. Brother John, and other ones have now starting to build residence in Ghana. So I can truly say that I'm living my best life, Aya, and I give thanks to His Majesty, because it's through His guidance, it's through His motivation, it's through His works that has given me the example. And so I want to be now a strength to others in my 50th year. I want to be able to tell my story so that now others can see that regardless of where you come from, once you uphold integrity, once you live within your true self, and for that true self was trodden within the trot of Rastafari. That has been the difference in my life. As His Majesty say, you know, we must use all of our resources, both spiritual and material, for the upliftment of ourselves and our people. So that's really the space I'm in now, Aya, and I'm truly, you know, honored and blessed to have been on this earth for 50 years And I feel like the next 50 will be my even better years, you know?
Give thanks, give thanks. And as we say, um, this is a time that we have to share. It's the information age. And I give thanks. We have the best comment section on the planet Earth. So the ones them always chiming in. Selam Gessi. So we already have a center in Ethiopia. Why isn't that your headquarters? And to that we say that in my father's house there are many mansions, and there's headquarters all different places. You know what I mean? So there are ones in Ethiopia that are holding that front. There are ones in West Africa holding that front. There are ones in South Africa holding that front, and there are other fronts. This is a multi-pronged war, and I attacking it from different angles. And so it's not, about why is you not there. The question is, if Ethiopia is your calling, are you feeding that ecosystem? That is what I want everyone to heights, because we have a lot of people out here that are talking about all kind of theoretical manifestations and finding fault with anybody who's trying to do anything in real life. What we want now is for everyone, regardless of what you support, make sure you're supporting it in reality, with your dollars, with your time, with your expertise, because we don't have the luxury of just talking, you know what I mean? Wally Kings, big up. Next, bona fide brethren said the 12th tribe of Israel HQ is also there in Ghana as well. Yes, 12th tribe have many HQs around the world as well, and a community. And the only thing I say to all of these things is that when I chat amongst all of these entities, everybody's volunteering, you know what I mean? So something is not connecting, you know what I mean?
Right.
So this is the level, because we're all adults now, grandparents and parents, and we tried it from youthful stages, but we are big people now. So what we need now is all of these institutions should be full-time with a budget and a staff that are operating, conducting the affairs, doing the intake, the welcoming, the skills banks, the agricultural projects. That's the level Rastafari have to reach now. And that is what we stand for here. All right, so I want to talk about your process now in terms of I wrote a book,
Okay.
I always talk about His Majesty autobiography, so I know that is a great inspiration. And as I told the I think it's a great example that more of I need to be taking the time to do these kind of reflective autobiographical works. Talk to us about the process in terms of the writing the memoir.
Yeah, well, it started when I turned 49, and I turned 49, and I actually had just came forward to the U.S. to Atlanta, February. This is 2025, so not too long after turning 49. I was really just in a state of reflection, and as I was reflecting and giving thanks for all of the ones that had really, like I said, poured into I said, how can I pay it forward? How can I pay forward, at least in a small way, what had been given to I from all of the ones that I've known throughout my life? And I said, the best way that I can do it is by sharing that story. And, the eye popped in my head, too, because the eye always say it's time for the lion to tell his story. So, the eye been saying that for the longest. The eye always saying we have to tell our stories. We have to tell our stories. And I knew, was inspired by the eye. The eye had just written a book a few years ago. And I know, the work and the diligence that the eye put into that book, that inspired I to really say, let me tell a story. And I say, I'll tell the story both in the written form, but also in the visual form, because nowadays we're in the visual age, we're in the multimedia age, and so I wanted that story to not only be told for those who could read the book or who wanted to read the book, but also those who wanted to see the film, because the visuals are very powerful. Visuals etch into our mind, and so I sought out, and I was fortunate enough that it was a full circle moment in so many ways, because a young sister named Summer Robinson, who in 2014, she traveled with I to Ethiopia and Ghana as a part of the Black Tribe Roots program. And she, through my encouragement and the encouragement of her family, she wrote a memoir about her journeys to Ethiopia and Ghana. She wrote a book, and guess what? She also did a film. And fortunately, from that time to 2014, she has now become a teacher, but she also is a writing coach and a publisher. So I was fortunate enough over 10 years later to reach out to her and say, hey, Summer, I want to write a book about my life story. And she was so excited because, I had encouraged her to tell her story when she traveled to Ghana, and now she would have an opportunity for the student to become the teacher. So I set out over the next 7 months to work with Summer Robinson, big up Mama Lucy, her grandmother. And also, I said, again, as far as the visual, I said I want to create a film that can also tell the story of those who poured into me. So I reached out to another sister who actually at the time I had worked with previously doing some film work for HABESHA. And I shared with her my journey, my goal of documenting my journey. This is a sister named Cherie Swan, also known as Sister Aquia. And I told her, I said, look, I want to document this journey. I want to go and travel to the places that have shaped me over my life, going to the place that I grew up in, my hometown in Woodbine, Georgia, of course in Atlanta, and of course Ghana, to be able to tell the story in all places in between. So Sister Cherie did hundreds of hours of interviews with over nearly 50 people of my family and friends, including the Judgmats, to tell the story and talk about ones who poured into I. And so these two pieces came together as one, and it brought together a culmination of the last 50 years of my life, and more importantly, specifically, the people who poured into me, the people who I respected, the people who inspired me. And so this journey was honestly, it was a form of therapy for me. I ain't gonna even lie about it. It was therapeutic for me to be able to reflect, because many times, as I know, when we're doing the work, we don't get a chance to reflect. We don't get a chance to really sit and truly give thanks. We wait until we get old, and then now we don't really have that time to be in a space. So this was a great opportunity for me to reflect on my life and reflect on what has happened and where I want to move forward. So it really has been a journey of reflection. It really has been a journey of analyzing the things in my life that impacted me, and again, most importantly, to uplift all of those who touched my life. So it's been a beautiful thing. I'm excited now to really be able to share my story with the world. We're doing this book tour, we're doing this film screening, and this is just the beginning, because the bug has hit me, particularly around the storytelling bug, particularly with multimedia. I've always wanted to tell stories. This is the first story that I've told through multimedia. It won't be the last, because I really, inspired by the I and others, really see the importance of telling I own story from I perspective. So yeah, the process has been beautiful. It's been a year and a half to get to this point. I've learned a lot about myself. I've learned a lot about this process, and I see that it's something that many of us should do. All of us have a story to tell. There's no small story. Every one of us has a story to tell, and I encourage all of us to tell I stories, whether that's through multimedia, whether that's through written, whatever way we share our story, it is important that we share our story to the world. So that's been how I've been moving, and that's why I'm here now. I'm in the U.S. to share that story with my global family.
Serious. Give thanks. I'm looking forward. I haven't read the book yet or seen the documentary. So I'm definitely looking forward to getting to sip up on that. Medina Simple Island Life said 12 tribes budget for a repatriating person is a ticket to Africa and 2,500 US. And I want to big up the 12 tribe of Israel because I know they have sent home the most ones in the West out of all of the mansion in terms of having a system. But we can build on these systems, because what happens after that $2,500 runs out? Is there a receiving center? Or I don't know. The item can educate I as 12 tribe family, but I know from the 12 tribe brethren that I reason with, that strength is needed there as well. More strength is needed, more participation. And I'm hoping that this great tribulation that is coming upon mankind, which is engineered tribulation, we have to be clear, which it says in the Revelation, the different angels pouring out the vials of wrath upon the earth. So it's engineered. That's all you have to know, whether you take it biblically or politically. The tribulation coming is engineered. But during this time of tribulation, I'm really hoping that it focuses our minds and our irids to the workers that are already, the institutions we already have, the workers that are already doing the work, and people should just be adding on, adding assistance, adding capital, adding fullness to all of the works. Is the I parked, Binghi?
Yes, I am parked right now.
Okay, because I wanna bring up Kazi, the drone video, and have the I do a little bit of narration for those who are not familiar, because in the I story, what makes the I story so sweet to I is that the I has been able to be at the forefront of the development of this crown jewel of Habesha, and here at the Lion Voice, you can go forward in the archive. We have some of the, exclusive footage of the building, the construction, where I'm just following this brethren as he's going through the construction site. So that's something that to behold, because just as His Majesty was so involved in the building of Addis Ababa, that's how the brethren was really with the building of Kazi, in terms of just being on the work site, supervising all aspects of the work, having to learn contracting and a lot of things on the fly, and to see what the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute has become. And I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to mute it. I want the I to just give some narration for those who are not familiar, what we are looking at, where it is, inspiration, because I think for those who don't know that I just sit down in a car, might think that I just, having a nice spliff and you just running your mouth. Let them, this is good to see the work and the culmination and the levels that we're dealing with when I come forward to the public space. So I can full up this narration.
Yeah, well, as if one saw from the beginning, I surrounded by mountains. So the psalm that says mountains are round about Ethiopia. So the true and living I Emperor Haile Selassie is round about his people. So this Kazi is surrounded by mountains. It's at the foothills of Ghana's tallest mountain, Afajato, and also Ghana's second tallest waterfall, Tagbo, is what the border of the land is. So I and I sitting in a place in a portal, you know, heaven on earth, you know, and one of the your Lion Voice members mentioned about Ethiopia being the headquarters. And we say, yeah, I and I setting up all over the continent because we see Africa as one Africa, you know. And we know that Ethiopia is the seat of the majesty. But we know that His Majesty sent his ministers all over to administrate and uphold his throne. So I is now in the West. But we know that's really just the entry point for I because we also are connected with the ones in Ethiopia. Big up Ras Sadai for the work that he's doing in Shashamani. And big up Ras Abi for being in Addis Ababa and continuing the work. So I see this works as a continuity. We see this as a connection for the global Rastafari community, the global Pan-African community. And so Kazi is an example for I. It's a place where we can come. As the I mentioned something about even with the 12 tribes and the repatriation program they're doing, big up the 12 tribes for that. One thing that we want to add to that is we want to create a structure of re-entry. So not only being able to get ones there and provide the resources, but I have developed a program called Brafier. Brafier in the language, in the Akan language tree, means come home. So I have developed a repatriation program to help ones to re-enter and return. And we want to scale this program up so that I people, when they come in, they have a smooth landing and they're able to reintegrate into the society smoothly and contribute to the society. So I have been building a relationship in this particular community of Liate Wote for over 20 years. And the beautiful thing is, I stand on the shoulders of Rasses who were there before I. First starting off with Ras Aswad in Krabia, which I believe I just had an episode with Ras Aswad on. I don't know if I didn't get a chance to listen to that episode yet, but I don't know if he mentioned about Liate Wote.
Yes, sir. That interview was filmed at Kazi.
You see that?
You know, so it was filmed down by the river at Kazi.
Yeah.
So we talked about, you know, how we came. Yeah, we talked about how we came to Liatewote and all of that is in there.
Nah, I can't wait to see that one because so I stand. So again, Rastafari has really set the black print and is at the forefront of this work. So this place is built on the shoulders of a Ras who came to this community 30 years ago. Before I ever came to Ghana, he established good relationships with the community. And based on that, when I came in, my transition was so smooth. The love was already there for I. They knew of Rastafari. They embraced us. The king of the community embraced I. We were able to build on that. Big up Mr. Mousy, who's our father in the community. And so I saw this place when we first went to Ghana. We say, this is the place where I want to establish a return area, a space where I can return. And so we built Kazi with that in mind, to be a place that can help I coming from the West to return. We also built Kazi as a place that can be an innovation hub around sustainability from an indigenous African perspective. And as the I said, the I was there from them early days when I had to move solar panels, when we had to clean up certain areas, when we were preparing Aya, because we knew that what we were building was unique, Aya. I can say without a shadow of a doubt, there's no place in the world like Kazi. And that ain't just for Rastafari, that ain't just for African people. There's no place like Kazi in the world, Aya. And we just in phase 1. So I see continuing to build up the institute to be a place of learning, to be a place of healing, to be a place of innovation for the global African community, because this place is for African people, by African people, with I in mind, with our healing in mind, Aya. So as you see, even the footage, this is the community welcoming our guests in, you know, sharing with them the love, sharing with them the culture. And so this is what we've done at Kazi to build and incorporate, you know, this space as a bridge between the African diaspora and our global African family and our continental family. So, you know, since this time, this was filmed a few years ago. Since this time, Kazi has even developed more. I have over 500 fruit trees. I would say probably about 60% are bearing fruit right now. We have a 120 solar panels that provide us upwards of 40,000 watts of energy. We got our own water sources. We build our own bricks to build our structures. We use the natural bamboo. We use the stones, everything around us. So now Kazi is really, it's coming to fruition, and it's fulfilling what the vision was that I had from even them early times at Howard, because really this seed was planted when I was at the Binghi House, 10th Street, sitting down reasoning with the elders like Bongo Jack, Ross Iris, Ross Sidney, big up man like Stone, you know, Ross Carlton, Bongo Ilika, you know what I mean? Big up Ayati in Kenya right now. Big up Ras Cashawn, you know what I mean? I know them early times from Kilimanjaro, Humble Heights, when we were selling, you know, selling carrot juice, selling yum cake, you know what I mean? Fried cassava, you know, on U Street, This is now the fruition of that. This is what's come about, a place for I and I as African people. So, you know, this is just the first stage, but this is now we see the impact that Kazi is having globally on the Pan-African community. And this is really the joy that I and I have, because what we've been able to do too that's so powerful to I is even to uplift the mindset of our brothers and sisters on the continent. So I give you an example. In that particular community, the people have vast knowledge of the earth, vast knowledge of how to use the natural resources around them to survive. Unfortunately, that knowledge has been looked down upon. What do I mean by that? The push is for them to leave the village and go to the cities and get a desk job. The push is not for them to use those indigenous skills of agriculture, of building, of being in tune with the land, of healing themselves off of the herbs. That wasn't the push. The push is for them to go get a desk job at the bank, go work at the pharmacy and push these pills to our people that have negative side effects, to go hustle in the streets of Accra when they have family in their villages where they can get the support. But through Kazi, we've been able to show that, you know what, we can use our indigenous knowledge and the world can appreciate it. We had a brother who came there who was an acupuncturist doctor, came and did a bamboo training course. Never in his life had he used a cutlass. So we had him out there with a cutlass chopping bamboo. Next thing you know, the man's hands is bleeding. And so some of my staff, they was fretting because they like, oh man, his hands bleeding, what do we do? Meanwhile, the brother was smiling from ear to ear. Why? He enjoyed having a chance to use his hands. And even though they got bloody, he felt pride in that, to use his hands. He felt pride before he had to use his hands to hold these small pins for the acupuncture work. Now he was holding a cutlass. And it gave him a joy to have these bloody hands, to know that he used his hands to build something. And so that was a teachable moment for my staff, because I told him, I said, this man flew 5,000 miles from his home with his family to come and learn from you, a man who grew up on the farm, a man who grew up tilling the soil and tilling to the land. So it's giving them a perspective that the indigenous knowledge that they have is just as valuable as anything that the university can offer. So we've really been about uplifting and bigging up this indigenous knowledge that has been passed down from our ancestors. And we know this is a Rastafari way of life. We know this is how I and I live, and we now have to come full circle as we see the resources of the world, you know, being destroyed. We're going to have to come full circle to living off the land, to protecting our waterways, to protecting our forests, to protecting our environment. And so we give thanks, Aya, that I and I in a position now to not only uplift and transform the thinking of the global African family, but also to make sure we instill in our continental family that the knowledge that they have is worthy and valuable, and they shouldn't leave it to go to this Western mind state.
Yes, and I want the eye to speak to. I want the eye to speak to the.
Yeah, so we give thanks, Aya. We truly give thanks. You know, you can just see the joy. You can see the serene environment that's there at Kazi. And again, this was 2 years ago. So since then, everything has blossomed and bloomed even more, you know?
Yes. Can the eye hear I?
I can't hear the eye, Kwasi. Can you hear I?
Is it? Yes. Can the eye hear I? I hear the eye. The eye can hear I?
I can't hear the eye. Let me see if I'm doing something.
Okay.
I'm not
Okay.
able to hear the eye though.
Let me know in the comments if the item can hear I. Go out and come back in. Go out and come back in. Go out and come back in. Go out and come back in.
Hold on a second. Let me see.
Yeah, go out and come back in. Let me know in the comments section.
Okay, I can hear the eye now. I can hear the eye now.
We are
Yes,
here.
guys.
Sabbatical reasoning. Binghi Shawn. Okay, okay. Give thanks, give thanks, give thanks. We are here. If you're watching live, Lion Voice, Rise, the Saturday morning. I want to big up Medina Simple Island Life. We paused our Saturday programming for a little while, the morning episodes, and she said, we miss the morning energy, Ras. We love morning shows. So big up yourself, Medina Simple Island Life, for those encouragements, because those are the things that motivate I and I, because sometimes we were doing the evening episodes, but we love doing the morning so that we can touch base with our family on the continent. And this is one of our brethren who typically would be on the continent. He's here on the East Coast tour. So we give thanks that we can reason with the brethren and to see the works and see that, again, Rastafari is doing work at the highest level all over the earth. But I want the eye to talk about, because this year and moving forward, one of the topics that we're going to be centering here is the topic of integration. Repatriation is just the first step. And I have had this reasoning from the early days, in terms of once we land, how does that integration look like? Cause is a fruit of that. I want the eye to talk about the Elder Care Day that recently happened at Kazi, and how that was orchestrated in terms of that ongoing process of integration with our local community.
Yeah, well, it's as I mentioned that within Rastafari, we know we have to fulfill the creed. Hungry be fed, naked clothed, sick nourished, age protected, infants cared for, and the shelterless shelter. So I take that as very, very important. As I mentioned in the beginning, I was nurtured by a lot of elders when I grew up. My mother was in high school when she had me, so literally on the block that I lived, there was probably about 5 or 6 different elder couples that all poured into I. So I can say honestly, one of my greatest joys since Kazi has opened was something that we did on the 11th of July, where we had 15 elders from the surrounding community that we were able to give a full, I would say, self-care day to. Big up Dr. Binghi at Gut Care Africa, which is a holistic health center that we partner with. Big up our Sankofa Black and Green Fellows, Sister Alma, Sister Aquia. We got 2 sisters that's been on fellowship at Kazi, a residency since January, and it was Sister Alma who's been doing a partnership with Gut Care that orchestrated this opportunity for us to pour into the elders in that community. So we were able to bring the elders to Kazi. We share with them the importance of gut health and of overall holistic health. After that, we were able to give them a holistic foot detox and foot massage. And then we were able to give them a delicious ital meal and really poured into these elders, man. And they were so grateful to I and I, for what we had done. But I told them really the pleasure and the honor was for us, to be able to pour into them. And so these are the kind of initiatives that we're doing in the community. These are the initiatives that we're doing in the community to be able to give forward to the community, right? But it's also a way for us to highlight and to build that public relations, right? Because we know that there's been an intentional divide that has been created by the West. People call it this diaspora wars or whatever, but there's been this artificial divide. They first started off with the artificial borders that came about that divided up the continent, but now they're trying to divide us across the waters. And so it's important that I bridge this gap, Aya, and this event was a way to do that. And it's a part of the larger goal of, as the I say, integration, because we've had a relationship with that particular community now for 20 years. And so we've been able to build up a rapport, a trust, a solidarity with the people in that community to where now they don't see us as a foreigner coming in. They see us as a part of the family. And I will say that that's not something that happens overnight, because we've had ones who come and may get a little discouraged because maybe the embrace that they thought they would get, it didn't come as soon as they were like. But I always tell ones, remember, what's happened to us has taken over 40 years for it to be in this state. Over 400 years. So even though it may not take another 400 years for us to reverse these negative effects, it will take time. And so I have to be patient. I have to really have the vigilance and the diligence to stick with it, because guess what? This is lifelong work. When we think about ones like the Nanny of the Maroons, when we think about Mama Harriet Tubman, they didn't give up. They didn't give up just because they had some setbacks or just because they had challenges. So this whole goal of integration, of repatriation and integration, it has to be a commitment that we make. It's a full-time commitment, Aya. There's no retiring from this liberty. There's no retiring from this work. Aya is committed for this for life, Aya. And we know that us as first-generation returnees, we may have challenges. But I can tell the Aya, I've been fortunate to have one of my 6 children born on the African continent, and 2 of my 6 children have spent over 90% of their life on the African continent. And then 4 of my 6 children have spent at least 60% of their life on the African continent. All of my children have lived in Ghana at least for 2 years. So guess what happens? They've had it a little easier than I have. Then when they marry on the continent, they have children, they'll be integrated even more. So imagine 6, 7 generations down the line, they'll be fully integrated into African society. And now they'll also take the knowledge of those like us who were born in the West and who lived in the West. They'll take that knowledge and integrate that with the knowledge of being on the continent. And that lies the power that we have as African people, to take the best of what we got from the West, what we learned, to now integrate that with the foundational knowledge of what the continent has given to us. So, it hasn't been easy, Aya, to integrate. It's been more than worth it. I tell people all the time who come, my quality of life index has tripled. I may not have the latest and greatest iPhone or the latest and greatest pair of shoes, but guess what? My health index, my state of mind, my state of peace is at an all-time high, Aya. And I truly, truly give thanks that for the past 10 years, I've been able to call Ghana home. And for the past 20 years, I've been able to travel to Ghana several times a year, Yeah, so we give thanks, Aya. It's truly a blessing, man, just to be in the space and place, to be able to do this work, itinual, to be able to honor His Majesty, honor those who have come before I, and now to prepare a way for the future generations.
Thanks. I happy that ones hear what the eyes say about the integration, and I want to just address a comment here. Bridget said only a foundation of Black American can run EWF, and I want the eyes them to know that tribalism is not consistent with Pan-Africanism, and I see a lot of ones bringing this kind of tribal vibration. And the EWF constitution is clear, it's for the Black people.
Black people of the world.
Tribal distinctions in there other than being for the preservation of Ethiopian, and Ethiopian culture, which Ethiopia is also synonymous. Ethiopia itself is a Pan-African concept. So if you're under the banner of Ethiopian World Federation, you cannot be a tribalist. And if you're a tribalist, you need to sharpen up the eye reasoning. You know what I mean? This is brother to brother, just reasoning. You can't be going forward under that banner with a tribal agenda. You know what I mean? It don't match. So I just want to address that with love to my brethren and my sister out there, because sometimes we get influenced. We're all human beings. We can get influenced by the online, as you say, the diaspora war, which a lot of these diaspora wars being pushed by the intelligence agencies, you know, and ones have to know that, you know what I mean, and not get caught up at this hour, you know, with that kind of rhetoric and thing which is not consistent with Kadamawi Haile Selassie teachings. You know what I mean? We cannot get caught up right now, family. So I just want to eye them. And we overstand, you know what I mean, that both sides, there has to be reasoning both sides. You know, we're currently having this reasoning about the Rastafarites, you know, the Black Americans who embrace Rastafari. Actually, there is a perfect person. I don't think we've had this reasoning publicly. You know, as someone who ancestors are from the American soil, you know, and the brethren, Sifaway and others, you know, who we know as Nathaniel, and others, Floyd Jarvis just came on the show. Ras Floyd, big up yourself, and did a very classic episode about the Rastafarites in Harlem and in Chicago. And a lot of ones are, you know, rising up because, you know, I understand a lot of people come from the Caribbean, from Africa, not knowing the struggle of Africans in America, and can be very detracting. But it also goes the other way. You know what I mean? There was the African booty scratcher, there was the this. So it was both sides, you know, not having that overstanding and being programmed. So people holding these resentments in their heart and trying to be competitive in a way that's not productive. As someone who ancestors is from this soil that we stand on right now, America, how do I see this whole reasoning with the Rastafarites rising and, you know, the foundation of Black American and ADOS and all this diaspora war rhetoric? How do I see this whole fullness?
You know what, I'm so glad that I brought this up, King, because I haven't publicly blocked my sound on this. But I can say that my ancestors come from Woodbine, Georgia, King. The town that I'm from was a plantation. I was just talking with my cousin about it. The town that I was born in was a plantation. So I can go back generations to I ancestors being on this soil and tilling this soil, brethren. So as I say, I feel that I'm more than qualified to speak on this. And I'll tell I unequivocally. When I say unequivocally, I mean unequivocally. I wholeheartedly disagree with the fundamental principles of ADOS, of FBA. I understand what they're saying, that our contribution should be uplifted. But where I completely disagree is many of them saying that they didn't come from Africa, that now in some kind of way there was a whole nother scientific another scientific I would say miracle that took place, that human beings just popped up in America and they didn't come from Mama Africa, right? I wholeheartedly disagree with that to the core. And you know, as I know, I come from the fire reason in the days of the Binghi house, when we used to burn fire, and we come with facts. So for I burn a hot fire on anyone trying to divide I. And even as I say, imagine someone says that a foundational Black American can be the only one that run the Ethiopian World Federation. That's an oxymoron within and of itself, The Ethiopian World Federation has to be run by a Black American, That don't even, whoever said that, King, respectfully, they need to really even just check what they saying, right? Haile Selassie I sent an Ethiopian to America to organize. And guess what? If you really check the history, during the 20s and 30s, Black people in America were putting on their birth certificates their nationality as Ethiopian. They were saying they were Ethiopian and wanted to go and fight. As a matter of fact, one of my all-time favorite volunteer Ethiopians is John C. Robinson, the Brown Condor of Ethiopia, who went over and fought for His Majesty as a lieutenant in the Imperial Ethiopian Air Force. So, brethren, honestly, I burn hot fire on all of them trying to divide I. I see that as an intelligence, the CIA implementation, man. We brothers like Tariq and all of those who did the Hidden Colors, we big up the work they done, but to me, they took it to another level when they started trying to divide our African brothers and sisters and our Caribbean brothers and sisters, and even to the point now where I was so disheartened, King, when I saw that President John Dramani Mahama, the current president of Ghana, he went to the UN in New York to introduce this resolution that our enslavement as African people was the worst crime against humanity. And as he was going into the building, it was black people outside screaming to the top of their lungs against this man. To me, the level of ignorance that we have to have, King, to do that, to not understand the true story. And for me, living in Ghana, being in Ethiopia, traveling throughout the African continent, Aya, it shows me that it's a lack of knowledge that our people suffer from, King. Because that means you haven't traveled, Aya. You haven't traveled to see what's really going on. You only been watching YouTube videos or some books that some ones who don't travel have read, King. So honestly, King, I burn a hot fire. That's coming from someone born and bred in America. So you can't tell me that I'm from the Caribbean and I don't know the struggle. I know the struggle. I was called nigger when I was growing up as a youth in the South, brethren. I'm from the dirty South, from the country. So, brethren, I burn a hot fire on that. Anybody who coming with that, they coming from a place of ignorance, King. And they need to now do more research and study, especially when you say that the EWF, the Ethiopian World Federation, should be run by black Americans, something that was started by the Imperial Ethiopian King, who sent a delegation of Ethiopians to come to America to talk to the black people who saw themselves as Ethiopians. They didn't see themselves as fundamental black Americans as an ADO. They saw themselves as Ethiopians. Yeah, King. So I can't entertain that at all, King. I can't. I burn a hot fire on that reasoning. Truth and rights.
And ones are conflating, you know, because nobody is fighting against black Americans delineating and being proud. And, you know, I mean, nobody's fighting against, that's a straw man. That's what you call a straw man argument. The problem is now when you have to attack Pan-Africanism, which is what they're doing now, they're attacking the identity and then using that people are fighting against. There's no one fighting against black people in America now. I know that black people were here before Columbus and, you know, before the first people on this continent were black, but those black people were still African. You know what I mean?
Straight.
It's just when they came, you know what I mean? It might have been 10,000 years ago. It might have been 20,000. It might have been 30, but they were still African. That's the point. Africa has the greatest genetic diversity of every continent. Africa has the unconquered land. So even spiritually, America couldn't have been where black people originated. This land, Africa is a tropical continent. This is, you know what I mean, we're melanated people. So regardless, when you came, and I agree 1,000% that black people were the first on this continent. Columbus wrote about seeing black people. Nobody's fighting that. The problem that we are having is when you now are saying the Africa is not the origin of humanity. These things are scientifically proven. I mean, that's the problem, and that you're now attacking the unity of black people. Delineation is not a strategy. You know what I mean? Isolation is not a strategy. And I would say the same thing to the Yoruba man. I would say the same thing to the Jamaican nationalists. I would say the same thing to the Haitian nationalists. All because it's not unique to America. You know, this phenomenon is not unique. You have nationalists in Ghana. you have nationalists everywhere. So it's not unique to any place, but Rastafari in particular has always stood against tribalism. You know, we are one of the ones in creation. You know, when Africans first hear about a united Africa on the continent, it comes from a Rastafari creative in a reggae song. We're the ones who champion one Africa around the globe. So we definitely, I give thanks to hear that I declare that sound clearly.
No apologies, Aya. No apologies
Yes,
for
sir.
that.
Yeah, no, and that's been I and I experience, because I know a lot of brethren who are Rastafari born on the soul, you know, are not new to this tradition. So, and all of them would say the same thing that the I saying. So, again, we have tribalists in all different regions, and you know what I mean. I'm not going to argue with them, but I give thanks for that clarity, and we don't want to see that in EWF, you know what I mean? That don't have no place. There's nothing about that in the Constitution. You're confusing up the thing. So please and thank you. Just sharpen up your thing, King. You know, whoever, you know, that's with love. Just sharpen up. Yeah, more heat. Sharpen up your thing, you know, come better than that on this platform.
Because I ain't season, you know.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly.
I season, you know. Brethren, they ain't know already, brethren. We season, Aya. You can't come no with no weak sounds, brethren. We've been doing this too long, Aya. Listen, you know, we don't bring out the artillery as much as we used to. Back in them days,
Exactly.
they ain't know it. Back in the day,
people.
brethren, we was quick.
Yeah, we had to defend it. We had the Nubians, you know what I mean? We had all these ones who was coming against His Majesty, you know, in those days. Georgia Avenue was like, you know what I mean? Battlefield, you know, Howard Campus, battlefield intellectual. And we had to stand up and defend the Majesty against all. So we're very clear on this thread, and that's why, you know, on this channel, we center His Majesty, because until I see someone come with the same resume as His Majesty, I'm going to follow the King. I always say that respectfully. You can be elder this, you can be bongo that, you can be, you know what I mean, minister that, this, that. When I put your resume aside, Kadamawi, Haile Selassie, if it don't match up, I'm always going to follow the King. You know what I mean? So that's respectfully. Your reasoning can't higher than His Majesty to I. And I don't have a problem parting ways with someone who think differently. We agree to disagree. That's the beautiful thing about life. You know, you don't have to watch this platform. We don't cater to, you know, there's a whole section of the internet that deal with tribalism and CIA programming. You can go over there with that. But here, I stand with His Majesty teachings without apology. And we give thanks. And we do that with love, you know what I mean? With a perfect love. So I want the I to talk about the eyes here doing a world tour. Okay, lost the breath momentarily, but yes, we have a perfect love. You know what I mean? That's why over here we're championing the Rastafarites and the uprising in the Western Hemisphere that the Black people of America did, and their contribution to Rastafari. We're a champion of that here. Before we brought on Floyd Jarvis, we have a classic episode with our elder Penny Cook, you know, who was EWF, and we went through the information here on the platform. You know, Elder Penny Cook, born in Jamaica. Iman, born in Jamaica. We were here looking at the information, championing. So there's no tribalism over here. You know what I mean? This is not that section of the internet. I are here for the redemption, African redemption, from sea to sea, from the river to the ends of the earth. You know what I mean? That's the section of the internet you reach when you reach over Lion Voice Network. I wonder I speak about the documentary section. The sister Sherry, you know, was a documentary filmmaker, because one of the key things that the I said is that as we tell our stories now in this modern era, because both of us have teenagers, we know that multimedia is key for us to pass this information down to the ones them that are coming. Please share some of that process with the content piece.
Yeah, it's funny that I mentioned, brethren. I mean, I've been with the guy in the studio to do music, and I know how long it takes. You know, people think like making an album is something you can just do overnight, and you know, you have one like Sizzler and Midnight, that man come out with 5-6 albums a year. But
Hold
honestly,
on, I'm not hearing the I. I'm not hearing the I. The I yeah, I don't know what happened to the
yeah, here now.
no, come out and come forward because we're not hearing the I good.
Yeah. Let me come out. Let me come out and come
I
in.
don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Okay, we're gonna try to sort it out. Go out and come forward again, King. I don't know. The fire was too hot. Fire was too hot. It's burning. Go out and come forward again, Binghi. Try and go out and come forward again. If the I can, go out and come forward again. Yes, family. Reasoning is hot. Reasoning is hot.
Yeah, I know.
Greeting. Hold on. Talk, let me hear.
And a lot of static. Yeah, I know.
Huh? Not hearing the I. Yeah. Greeting. No, it's still blurry. Go out and come back in again. I don't know what happened to the I sound, but it's not working anymore.
Mic check.
No, we're not hearing the I. We're not hearing the I. We're not hearing the I.
Yeah, I know.
Huh? We're not hearing the I. It's very thing. Go out and come in again. Is your phone hot? Maybe. Is the phone hot? Because it might be the phone need to cool off a little bit. We're trying to work out the technical difficulties, family. I see the comment section heating up here. Africans identify themselves by tribes first. Nobody has any problems with how ones are identifying. Again, that's called a straw man argument because we're not fighting against identifying. I and I all as part of the 6th region, Africans outside of the continent as black man. We take the Peter Tosh definition, no matter where you come from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. It's still, I don't know what's happening to the audio. We can hear the I, but it's going in and out, and it's very gargly, like it's crackling.
Yeah, that's how the I come in too.
Okay.
The I is coming.
It sounds a little bit better.
Okay, it sounds better now. Close that out.
Yeah.
Can you hear it better now?
Yeah, it's coming into a little bit better.
Let me put it a little closer. How about now? Is it better now? Kwasi? Get my laptop.
Greeting. Greeting. The reasoning too powerful, family. Me I tell the I them. You know what I mean? The reasoning too powerful. Wi-Fi the guy had to come in and try to start the show. You know what I mean? Because the reasoning is so powerful. And we're crashing false concepts, false conception. But Rastafari is like that. This is word, sound, power, people. You know what I mean? And I is a testament. You know, this connection I have with my brother Binghi Shawn, born, as he said, in Georgia. I'm born in Jamaica, grew up in Toronto. My closest brethren, you know what I mean? Bona fide, you know what I mean? Our families know each other from birth. So when we come on to the tribalism argument, we crash that, you know what I mean? It don't serve I and I. And everyone can have their distinct identity. No one is fighting that, you know what I mean? Be proud. I give thanks. I went to Howard University and I took, you know, yeah, it sounds better now. Let me see. Greeting.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Okay, I just switched to my laptop. But yeah, okay, yeah, my fault. That was
no problem. It's a lot better. But I was just saying, yeah, we give thanks because even I and I link with the I, you know, it crashed the tribalism reasoning, you know, almost 30 years I and I have been working together on the battlefield, you know what I mean, and so many others. So we just want to make that clear. But I want the I to go into the documentary part and that process of recording. I had to do an interview, over our interview, but as someone who is in content now and you have to edit, I can only imagine, you know what I mean? I can only imagine. Talk to us about the present. How did you go through that process, deciding what goes in, how involved was the I, or did the I just turn it over to Cherie? How did the I deal with it?
Brethren, trust me. I don't know if I heard. I was saying that I've been in a few music studios, and I've been around the I in the studio, and I know, you know, for ones who don't know the studio vibes, you see an album. That album can take hundreds of hours to make, and you might only have an hour worth of music, King. But brethren, doing a film, that is some serious work, King. You might take 2 hours on 30 seconds worth of film, King, just to get it right, Aya. So big up Sister Cherie, because not only did she do close to 50, 60 hours worth of interviews, I would say she probably did another 10 times that amount in editing, and maybe a 30.
Okay, look like we have a little Wi-Fi issue again. Let the brethren settle and we bring it in. But give thanks for everyone watching live. We are here on the Lion Voice Network. Make sure that the item support the platform. If you love Rastafari independent non-aligned media, support the platform. Give a attribution at the information. And big up, we have some ones who have been sending in Cash App, Zelle. Big up to all of the ones them that, you know, every now and then we just look and we're pleasantly surprised by the love of the item who know and who value independent media and want to see the platform grow. because our goal is to be full-time doing this work. This is not, I have a full-time job, using my law degree, you know what I mean? So but I would love to be able to be full-time, and we treat it like it's full-time already. The amount of posting, the amount of content we do is not normal, but we do that because we are trying to achieve a vision. So if you love the content, support the platform. All right, so talk about the editing process.
Yeah, what I was just saying was that the sister did probably about 50, 60 hours worth of actual like interviews and footage, but she probably did another 300 to 400 hours of actual editing. And I was probably a part of about 30% of that, King. So big up Sister Cherie, Nana Akuya Sika, for the work that she put in. This truly was a labor of love, Aya. And I had a greater appreciation love for the editing process. I did get my hand. I did a little bit of editing. I'm learning Adobe Premiere Pro. Big up DJ Rebellion, who I first got my feet wet probably 20 years ago using iMovie HD. So, but honestly, King, this has really helped me tap into another side of my creativity that I have been wanting to tap into. I love creating. I love being a creative, right? And the I first kind of brought to the forefront that agriculture is a part of the creative industry, and I
Yes.
agree. I've always had a creative side of me that really, I would say, kind of was dormant for a while, just because I was family in the works. But this process of creating this film has really helped me to tap into that creative side that has been dormant, and it's ignited a fire in me to where this won't be the last film project that I work on. So it was a labor of love. It was a lot, King. I ain't gonna lie. It was a lot. It was worth it though, because when you want things perfect, you got to get that clip just right. You got to make sure the voice comes just in. You got to just like, Brethren, it's a lot to it, because I was doing everything. We had to be the sound engineer. We had to be the video, like I did it all, man. And really, the sister did a lot of it, man. So big up Sister Cherie, for the work that she did around the film, and really just traveling all over the Southeast. She traveled a lot, man, to get these interviews with my family members, get these interviews with close comrades. She came to Ghana and got footage, you know what I mean? So this right here was a comprehensive film. We can't wait to share it with the world, to tell I's story, and to really inspire others, But yeah, it was a lot, man, and we give thanks. This actually, if the item can see it, this is the book right here. So both the book and the film have the same title: Manners Will Take You Places Money Won't. Right? My journey from the backwoods of Georgia to the rainforests of West Africa. And the title comes from my great grandmother Susie, who used to always say this proverb to my grandmother and to my mother. And my mother would always tell it to me. And it's so powerful because it's really saying manners will take you places that money won't. It shows to as what Bongo Jack used to say back in the Binghi house, good behavior shall be your savior. That many times, once you have good behavior and you have correct manners, doors will be open to you that regardless of what amount of money you have can't be open, brethren. And I can say truly, I've seen that happen. And I tell people all the time that growing up in a small rural town in Southeast Georgia, King, in the United States, prepared me to travel the world. Because even though my grandfathers and aunts and uncles, they didn't know the 54 countries, they didn't know the Nguzo Saba, they couldn't tell you the president of every African nation. One thing they had were traditional African values like respect, integrity, loyalty, consideration. Those things have taken me all over the world, Aya. And so when I say manners will take you places money won't, King, I can truly say that doors have been opened up for just through having respect, just through knowing how to talk to people, and particularly in Africa, because Africa is a place that's all about relationships, Relationships is what the relationships, brethren, I've seen it on so many levels. And in America too, black people, wherever we are, relationships is the key, Aya.
And so I've seen it, Aya. So I truly give thanks. And this documentary has been a labor of love. As the eye said, the eye is in the film. Matter of fact, we got music from the eye in the film, same way. You know, we got a lot of ones that have been instrumental in my life in this film, King. So this one here is it's special to me. You know, Black to Our Roots, the film, you know, that came out in 2006, which actually I'm thinking about it, 20 years. I just thought about that, Aya. 20 years when Black to Our Roots came out, King, and here we are 20 years later, Rastafari. So we give thanks, King. We truly give thanks.
And that was an award-winning documentary, Black to Our Roots,
Big
which
up Rastrey.
documents, big up Rastrey.
Yes,
yeah. That was an award-winning documentary. We actually had Rastrey on Wednesday as he's one of the instructors for the Art Virtual Summer Camp. And we're going to talk about that also because we heard the I voice and we saw Kofi in some of the footage from the Rastafari Virtual Summer Camp. I know Kofi was one of the participants first year, so I'm going to ask the eye to block on the importance of that as well. But the fullness is that documentary was groundbreaking at its time. It was entered into several Black film festivals and won, at a couple of them, I think. And it was, it was a serious thing. I don't know. Do we have it available? Is there anywhere that one can online?
It's online. I'll send the link there. I can share it with the Lion Pride family. And also, we don't forget, it aired on PBS for like 4 years,
Oh, yes.
I was getting calls from Alaska, Aya. Ones from Alaska was watching the film. And guess what? I'm going to tell the eye what was honestly my claim to fame. As far as like when I felt good, brethren, I was up in New York one year. And you know how in New York, you see the ones on the roadside selling the conscious DVDs.
Yes.
And I went to one of the places in New York, saw the DVD was being bootleg, brethren. They was bootlegging Black to Our Roots, King. Look, I said, yo, we done made it now. We being bootlegged, man, with the conscience, with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark and all of them. We being bootlegged, King. Bootlegging Black to Our Roots,
People know back in them days, the DVD era, you know what I mean? You had to have your collection of conscious DVDs, you know what I mean? And as the brethren say, Black to Our Roots was one of those seminal DVDs. So this is 20 years later, coming with another audio-visual documentary. This time I'm on the eye journey. I'm excited to watch the film. We're going to be doing a screening here in DC at Sankofa Bookstore.
Yes,
but the eye is doing, talk about the tour that the eye is doing on the East Coast.
Yeah, well, this tour is a combination, right? Because some years ago, starting in 2016, 2017, we went on what we call the listening session tour. This was in the early days when I was fundraising and making ones aware of Kazi. This was before any ground was broke, before any brick was made. I traveled both up the East Coast. We traveled on the West Coast, traveled to the Midwest. Between 2016 and 2019, we did about 3 different tours, the listening session tours. And then, of course, COVID hit. Since then, we opened up Kazi, and we haven't traveled since that time because now, it's one thing we hear about ones talking about building stuff and they raising money and you don't hear nothing about it. You know what I mean? You think people done pocket the money. I done went on vacation in the Maldives and went off to Switzerland and all of that. But I have been diligently working. So in addition to showing the documentary film, in addition to having the book signing, this is also a way for us to share about what's going on with Kazi and invite our global African family to come to the Institute in Ghana. So I working, we gonna be traveling on a book tour and a film screening. We'll start off actually we're still finalizing some dates, but right now we have confirmed in Detroit on April the 12th. Big up to Baba Malik and the Detroit Black Community Food Sovereignty Network. Then we are fortunate.
August 12th. August 12th.
I'm saying August. Yeah. Okay, yes. August 12th will be August 12th. Then August 14th will be in Toronto. Big up Razola. And the Toronto Black Food Sovereignty Alliance will be also doing some things at Rastafest. Big up Sister Masani. Give thanks to the Eye of the Judge Match. We'll be sharing more about the book and the word. We'll be going down to I hometown, Woodbine, Georgia. I'm super excited about that. On the 22nd, we'll be having a screening there. 23rd, we'll be having a screening in Macon, Georgia. We're finalizing our screening in Atlanta for September. We have some we're looking at Louisville, Kentucky. We're looking at Cincinnati, Ohio, looking at Chicago. So in the next month, we'll be hitting about 10 to 12 cities. And then we also will be taking it international. We'll be screening it for the first international premiere at the Abibi Toomey Film Festival. Big up Dr. Obadale Cambone and the Abibi Toomey family over in Ghana. And then from there, we'll be, looking to submit it in film festivals and really just get the word out, because I know it's important for I to tell I stories. So look out for the film. And then at some point, we want to see how we can get it. We love the Netflix and Hulu is cool, but I'm not really looking at Quayle TV. For ones who don't know about that particular platform, Quayle TV is a black movie platform that we want to work with to get the film on Quayle TV. And not to say we wouldn't accept, Netflix or Hulu, but we want to make sure we get the film into the hands of those who have our best interests at mind. So we're looking forward to that tour. We're definitely looking forward to being on Sankofa on the 30th. We'll be in Richmond, Virginia on the 28th. Big up Duran Chavis and the Happily Natural family. So yeah, we traveling the country. Potentially Connecticut is on the list. We're just trying to make it where we can share the word about the work that we're doing. I want to be able to pour into, share about the ones that have poured into I, and really also invite ones to come to Ghana, come to Kazi, bring your family, bring a group, and come be a part of this revolution that's happening, the tide that's sweeping Mama Africa, because it's an awakening going on and it can't be stopped. No amount of division can stop what's happening. His Majesty set the precedent when he started and opened the OAU, and since then it's continued to grow. And INI is in a position right now to bring to the fruition of the OAU to the forefront. And I can really say, King, I see it. I'm seeing it on the ground that Africa is awakening, King, and it's the youth. So even when we have, the situation going on in South Africa that's a disheartening to INI in many levels, we don't get discouraged, because guess what? They want to uplift those things about South Africa, but they won't tell you what's going on in Burkina. They won't tell you what's going on in Mali. They won't tell you what's going on in Ghana. They won't tell you what's going on in Zimbabwe on a positive level. So it's ones like the I and like the Lion Voice Network that have to uplift the positive news that's happening on the continent, in the diaspora. And this particular film is a part of that. It's a contribution to the upliftment of African people. And I'm encouraging all my people in those vicinities to come out and join us. Check out our social media page at HABESHA Inc. to find out more information about when the screenings will be in your area. Reach out to INI. Definitely stay in tune to the Lion's Voice. Continue to support the Lion's Voice through Patreon. Continue to support the Lion's Voice through subscribing to the channel. Continue to make sure you stay in tune, because the Ras Kwasi has been at the forefront of the work for African people, for Rastafari people. Just big up the I for everything, for being a confidant for I, for being an advisor for I, for being a brethren that I just look at as an impo that I can, also say that's my frontline soldier that's been by my side from day one, King. So just big up the I and big up the family, man. Big up Yah, going to the original HU. Big up to Farai,
Yes.
just love to the I and the family,
Yes. And yeah, my daughter is going to Howard. She's going to be the class of 2030. Iman was the class of 2020, so we do give thanks for that. And the brethren is also an Ubuntu Lion Pride member, the Myers family. So the brethren put his money where his mouth is. He's a lifetime sponsor. You can become a lifetime sponsor for $100 US, and that price is going to go up as the channel grows. But we're just finding creative ways to support Rastafari independent non-aligned media. The goal is to be able to hire a staff. Right now, I was talking about Premiere Pro. I'm learning Premiere Pro right now as we speak. I was using Premiere Rush, which is like a lower version of Premiere Pro, and I was so proficient. I was just feeling so good, but I got lazy, and then Premiere discontinued Rush now. So I gotta go up to the big boy, because Rush just is like a simplified dashboard, and you can just drop, and it's quick editing. Premiere Pro is what they do movies on. So I'm actually using that now, and but I give thanks for the growth. But I want to hire an editor. Even though I love editing, but just in terms of doing all, it's a lot of time. It's a lot of time. You can't do everything. So we want to be able to hire an editor, all of that. The brethren said we still in the DVD era if you wanna the content in your library, which is an excellent point. Physical media, because we know internet can crash.
Truly.
Streaming, all them things, and if you don't have your Trueberry, and every Rastafari brethren, every Pan-African brethren, this is why I'm the reading Ras, should have a Trueberry. That should be part of everyone's home. Physical books, that's part of how we keep the anciency.
Truly.
Along with the modernity, yes, we have the internet, we're streaming, we're doing all of these things, but everybody should have their physical Trueberry.
Yes,
as well. So give thanks for that, Squid.
We got our book. I can hold my book up. Like I say, I've been inspired by the eye, but ones can get this on all platforms. They can also reach out to I through social media to get it direct and get their signed copies, King. But this has been a labor of love, Aya, to be able to write a book, to be able to do a film about I work. And like I said, this won't be the end for I. We will be doing more films. We'll be writing more books. We'll be continuing the legacy of I forefathers and foremothers of telling I stories. So just big up the eye. Much love to the eye. The jazz match, I'm going to have to push forward in a few just to get my daughter. We here at the airport. So she about to fly forward to Ghana. But it's a joy, man. I can't wait to see the eye in the flesh. You know what I mean? And see the family, King. And I'm hoping to see some of the Lion Pride family that travel around the country just to, continue to build that connection, man, because I can't say it enough. I'm inspired by the eye, man. Enough respect to how the eye has built up the Lion Pride. And over time, the eye been every day I'm getting the messages. We're alive, join this episode. Brethren, it's I feel so good because I know the work that the item put in. You know what I mean? Like, but I know the item put in this work, King. So it's a joy for because I remember the reasons we had when the eye started, King. So just want to let the eye know, man, enough love to the eye, man, enough respect to the eye. Straight, King. You know what I mean?
Give thanks. Likewise to the eye. And as the brethren say, our queens, reason with each other, the youths them reason our daughters are best friends. You know what I mean? So the link is just solid, and I really give thanks to His Majesty for the brethren, because it's a mutual admiration society. You know what I mean? That I dealing with. There are some ones that want to get in contact with I have here the Kazi website. If you can just let ones know how they can get in contact with the eye.
Yeah, so again, through the social media at HABESHA Inc, HABESHAINC. They can reach out to I through the website, www.kasinstitute.org, kaziinstitute.org, habeshainc.org. They can reach out to I. They can also link I through WhatsApp. For those who are on WhatsApp, you can reach out to I through country code 233-55921-5187. Again, that's 233-55921-5187. We do still have our US line that we use for WhatsApp. That's area code 678 760-1252. And then through info@habeshainc.org is our website. So we would love to hear from the family. I would love to host a Lion Pride. What I'm putting this out here right now, Kwasi. I would love for I to have a Lion Pride I treat in Ghana, Let's
Yes.
organize that where we can get the
Yes,
Lion
sir.
Pride together, man, for roots and culture, Lion Pride I treat, you
It's
know what I
true.
mean, and come over to
It's
Ghana
true.
together. So let's
Yeah,
put that in
that would
the
be
app.
irie. That would be irie, and that would be good content for the platform. So the item have to let I know as the Lion Pride. It cause is a healing space that was designed for people of African descent. It's in line with what we're doing with this channel. This channel is part of our healing as well.
Truly.
Do the item want a Lion Pride retreat at Kazi? We can organize it. Let I know. I see the Sister Joan Royal Blessings. This is Binghi Shawn, Ras Cashawn Myers, the founder, executive director of HABESHA. This is our Saturday morning live. Before I seal up, I want to also remind the item that we have a few fundraising initiatives. We have the Ethiopian Orthodox Church through I good brethren Kip Ezekiel. The item would remember that episode over 1,500 of the item I've seen it. It's one of the favorites. They are raising funds. I added funds to the description. So if you go to the description of that video, you will see how to donate to the Orthodox Church, and they're raising funds for the Holy Trinity Cathedral in Addis Ababa, which is His Majesty church that he built. So for those of I know we have a lot of brethren who are Orthodox, particularly, but all of our family, we support the relationship with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. So feel free to contribute, and if you contribute, let us know so that we can inform the brethren. They're very interested in the Rastafari contribution, so we want to continue that vibration. We also are still raising money for our elder Bongo Wisely. Let me put up that information right now. So we're raising money for our elder to do his cataract surgery. So you can link Bongo Wisely at the information below to give an attribution. We're trying to raise 3,000 US. And finally, we still are trying to strengthen our royal queen mother, Nana Faraika. I'm going to bring up her GoFundMe as well. And Nana Faraika, Binghi Shawn is one of her students in education.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? I can just block a sound on Nana Faraika, how she helped the eyes.
Yeah, from them early days at Howard, I used to literally sit at her feet and carry her books when she would go into the schools and do storytelling with the youth. And, it was a joy, man, to see how passionate she was working with these small youth, 5, 6 years old, this elder woman, and how she would impact them and impacted I really through the joy of teaching, man, and sharing, and just knowing her as a storyteller, and how she is our historian or her historian for Rastafari, and a staunch Pan-Africanist. One of my greatest joys, King, was to be able to bring Mama Faraika to Ghana with the eye in 2005.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
For her
Classic.
to experience Ghana with I. That was a joy of I, brethren. So we got so many fond memories with Mama Faraika, man. Big up Mama Faraika. We praying for more strength for her and prosperity as she continues to recover. So yeah, man, make sure Lion Pride, make sure y'all support all of the initiatives that the Lion Pride and the Lion's Voice Network has. I, as the brethren say, we put our money where our mouth is. We have to support on our own. So yeah, man, enough love for Mama Faraika, enough love for Bongo Wisely, enough love for all of the works that I is doing globally as Rastafari people. So let's continue to support each other. Let's continue to make sure that we have the resources that we need for our own healing and our own redemption. So yes, the Desmite. So I might have to push out still.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll reason up.
Rastafari, guide and keep the eye.
Rastafari.
Protect all of the Lions Voice family. Much love to the eye, and I'll see the eye in a few strongs in Washington, D.C. and looking forward
Yes,
to
sir.
seeing the Pride family.
Blessing. Yes, sir, Rastafari. And we'll have blessings. And we'll have some exclusive footage of the brethren when he comes to DC. I make sure I record some of the book launch and the film launch at Sankofa so we can share some of that with the global family. But yes, we are here once again, just sabbatical. Next Saturday, we will return. I'm not sure who our guest will be, but it will be someone from the African continent. We're going to continue these early morning reasonings with our family, who are at home on the continent. And we have a big schedule. For my Patreon family, I'm going to be uploading the Dr. Umar interview, light edits, not fully edited, on the platform for the item to sip up. We're editing it now to get it out for Marcus Garvey, Earth Strong. As I said, I'm using a new program, Premiere Pro. So it's taking a little bit longer just to kind of learn and to get comfortable with it. But it's on the way. We have some big interviews on the way. We have some artist interviews. Some artists have been reaching out to, so get ready. Some artists interviews on the way. Our Ras Aswad Ankrabia, one of our legendary elders, the one who's responsible for the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute, because he was the elder who lived in that community and set the positive liberty and groundwork so that when I and I came with Habesha, we were so well received because they were familiar with Rastafari and the upful liberty that the brethren had shown the people. He didn't go there and sleep with the people, them daughter, and create scandal and then disappear. Brethren went there, established True Berries, different works, and so the respect was high, you know what I mean? And now that has blossomed into the Kwaku Ando Sustainability Institute. So that pioneer, we have his interview, and it was taken at Kazi down by the river. Classic interview. If you haven't seen it, go check out the Ras Aswad interview. Also, the Association of Rastafari Creatives, let me bring up that flyer. And for Nana Faraika, we want to get Nana Faraika too. We need $500 to seal up her vibration, her GoFundMe. So we want to get those funds in. So please, let's get that going. 50 people, $10, that name Sila. So every Miko Meka Moko philosophy, 1 Cocoa full basket strategy. We have the Arts Team Camp. Go to RastafariCreatives.com. We interviewed some of the instructors, some of the male instructors. They are registering now. So if you have youths between the age of 6 and 18, register your youths them. Virtual summer camp, they're going to be designing the community of tomorrow. So, and also you can go to the website, give a contribution to the staff. It's a pay what you can afford camp, so we don't turn aside any of the parents, no matter what their social, economic. And it's a way for your Rastafari youth to meet other Rastafari youths, to see they're not alone, and to just interact with Rastafari youths around the world. So make sure that the item are spreading the word. If you don't have a youth and you know a young family, you know a family that have children, share the link with them so that they can register the youth. It's hard raising Rastafari youths in this climate because we're so scattered, but we can use the technology to make the youth them have that connectivity with others who are like-minded. So go to RastafariCreatives.com and be a part of that vibration. I'm gonna just pull up the website quickly before we seal to show the item how to give that contribution, because it is a multi step process. But we do give thanks for all of the items, you know what I mean, on this community. We don't take this community for granted, and the unity that we're building, which is why, you know, we keep it so hot on the tribalism, and we don't fight no one from declaring their heritage. We love that, because unity does not mean uniformity. You know, we champion that. So if you come to this website, you go to events, click on events, workshops and events. You'll see the ARC Team Summer Camp 2026. Click RSVP. It will take you to the ARC STEAM Summer Camp. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics. Time and location, you scroll down. You can either be a camp supporter and give your donation here, enter your information and give your donation, or you can be a camp attendee. You determine, or I determine, what you pay for the camp. So, you know, depending, you have children, more than one child, you pay accordingly. But according to your conscience, nobody's going to tell you that's too much or too little. So the funds goes to pay the instructors, give them a stipend. They're taking time off work, and we want to compensate them. And also to grow the camp, we would love it to be, you know, have full-time administrators. We'd love to evolve it to in-person camps in the different regions, be able to book spaces, do field trips, all of those things. So this is just the beginning, but it's us as creatives saying, nobody's going to save our youths, but I and I have to have programming for Rastafari youths. And this is for Rastafari youths. So it's not a Pan-African, it's a Pan-African camp, but it's for Rastafari youths. So they learn about the emperor, they learn about the building of Zion on earth, Rastafari philosophy, all of those things in this camp. So support. We have to fund our own uprising, become a member of the Patreon. As I say, you know, if you don't want to support the channel, find something that you love and support it, you know what I mean, within the Rastafari ecosystem, something that is moving us forward. In this Armageddon time, we don't have the luxury to be passive observers. And I'm talking to the faithful. If you subscribe, you're part of the Lion Pride. So I'm talking to the Lion Pride and saying, be constructive right now. Unity is the accepted goal. We have no time for division, to entertain division of any kind. And that doesn't mean we're a yes man factory. That doesn't mean that we can't agree to disagree. It just means that we know that we will not win this victory without each other. And we are trotting together. One aim, one almighty, one destiny. Working in this manner, there can be no failure. The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. And this is the Lions.
We're endorsing the Lion's voice. Big up Ras Cashawn. See?
Big up Ras Cashawn.
It is time for the lion to tell our own story. Yes, sir. Like this.
There is a land far, far away. There's no night. There's only day. Look into the book of life. And you will see that there's a land far, far away. Ras Cashawn, that there's a land far, far
I will never stop call Rastafari. Blessed love, this is Cushite representing for the Lion's Voice. We are here to tell our own story, Rastafari.
Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, ya. Them fully guard up and them quick fi execute, ya. Now drop your guard when it come to them, ya youth, ya. The one will laugh for him, see him one of the shooter. Watching them, this is Ras Cashawn representing for the Lion Voice Network. This is the time when the lion gets to tell our own story. Haile Selassie.
What are you waiting for? Come together, calling from near and far. Know who you are. What are you waiting for? Rally up, it takes the dust. What are you waiting for? Ancestors paved the way for us. Yes, I am Ketis Oyonde, asking, what are you waiting for to come together? The time has come for the lions to tell our own story. This is the Lion's Voice.
Yes, job people, this is Binghi Shawn representing. I will say, hear the Lion Voice, saying it is time for the lions and the lionesses to tell their own story. King David killed Goliath with a stone, we original dread.
Well, Lion Voice, tell them that's the people first choice. Lion Voice, make the lioness them feel nice. Lion Voice, with the lion cubs with sacrifice. Lion Voice, got to show the people them the light. Lion Voice. Them could never conquer the mountains. Thousands of years and counting. Ethiopia rise again unto the world. Now we are announcing. Them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. When the trumpet sound and the violence cease, how we say one go build up the cities. Well, them a plan for war, we a plan for peace. And now we see them wanna go dismantle the base. Rastafari crown as the Prince of Peace. Him tell the youths them fi build up them countries. Well, for unto us a son was born and a child was given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, and his name shall be called the Wonderful Counselor, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Them call him Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Them call him Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. They call him Rastafari. Lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Them call him Rastafari. Read the Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Then born near the city of Harar, the inspiration for Bob Marley's guitar. People crowd him like some big superstar. It no matter if England or Cote d'Ivoire, no matter if you're brown or black like Qatar. Haile Selassie say fi end all tribal war. A time fi gather Mount Zion, fi drive solar car from the car straight to Zanzibar. Who we are, the sons of Rastafari. When he was born, rain fall from the sky. Rastafari. When he was grown in airplanes he fly. Then Rastafari, the lion break the chain, weep not, don't cry. Then Rastafari, we do everything.
iRoots Records, an online shop for reggae and dub vinyl, CDs and Rastafari books. Rastafari owned and operated for over 15 years. We ship worldwide. We have many titles from Frontline Publications in stock. We have 50 plus HABESHA Midnight titles, which we believe is the most of any shop in the world. Special invite for the Lion Pride. Use code Lion's Voice and save 10% store-wide. If you spend $125 or more, the discount goes up to 15%. Visit us online at www.irootsrecords.com. The time has come.
Orlando, Central Florida, are you ready? The African Culture School Incorporated and Heights of Life Music proudly presents the 4th annual Marcus Garvey Music Fest, Saturday, August 15th at Ras State in Claremont, Florida, featuring Lutan Fire, backed by Rhythm Rebel Band. Also performing live, Andy Eitz, Ainike, Esau, One Journey, Javerse, Royal Chanter, Asafa Widimaya, and many more incredible artists. Vibes provided by Unity Sound, Rastek, Royal Ethiopian Sound, Jawise, and Blackfoot Movements. Hosted by Davani, but it's more than just music. Enjoy Community Entrepreneur Awards, Organic Seed Exchange, live art installation and auction, back to school giveaways, free health screenings. Come celebrate the legacy and vision of the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Saturday, August 15th, sponsored by Branding 101, One Trust Home Loans, and Cypress Cove Marina and Resort.
In the haunting echo of violence against women in St. Anne, Jamaica, a mysterious vigilante emerges. For the Woman Painted Purple unfurls a gripping narrative of empowerment, retribution, and the pursuit of justice. Brenda and her group sisters bond together in therapy over their common struggles, but soon their group becomes the subject of an investigation. As the vigilante's actions escalate, the relentless detective, Officer Woodley, races to unmask the mystifying figure. For the Woman Painted Purple is a pulse-pounding tale that explores the boundaries of justice, revenge, and the fighting spirit. This thrilling saga delves into the complexities of dealing with mental health, domestic abuse, and finding love after. Own your copy today. Visit www.davanigreen.com.
This is The Black Heart Man, Rastafari children's picture book with hand-painted illustrations and rhythmic storytelling. This is a journey you do not want to miss. We offer worldwide shipping, so order your copy today at www.degreaspaintbrush.com. Alternatively, you can order your copy from TikTok. If you are interested in stocking the book, please email us at degreaspaintbrush@gmail.com. Give thanks.
Jamaica to Toronto. The Rastafest movement rises again. This August 15 and 16, Rastafest 2026 returns to Little Jamaica in Toronto with reggae music, Rastafari culture, Ital food, arts, reasoning, and unity. But this year, it's more than a festival. Rastafest is partnering with the Rastafari Mansions and organizations to support the Relief, Rebuild, Rise initiative, helping Rastafari families and communities rebuild, resist the risk of disasters, and to rise to their true potential. This is culture with a cause. Full joy the music, support the mission. Donate to the Relief, Rebuild, Rise GoFundMe through the link in the RMO Jamaica Instagram profile. Rastafari.
Save the date. Join us on Sunday, August 9th, 2026 at 5 p.m. for the 25th annual fundraiser for the Shashamani Foundation at the Silver Spring Civic Center, Great Buffalo Hall in Silver Spring, Maryland. Come be a part of an evening that helps transform lives by supporting quality education and sustainable development at the JRDC School in Shashamani, Ethiopia. Your presence and generosity help empower children, strengthen communities, and build a brighter future. Can't attend? You can still make a difference by donating at shashamani.org or by scanning the event QR code. Mark your calendar, bring your family and friends, and let's build a lasting legacy together. We'll see you there. Rastafari TV and Sight Media are proud sponsors of the Shashamani Foundation.